Messed up.
Because I'm
Hey,
tired of being first. Shit, let me be last once.
Zashly.
hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Mobile Roar podcast for the week of May 20th, 2015. I'm Joe Fidua.
And I am Chris Chavez.
And I am Ashley King, joining you for the second time.
And we'll let you go last because, the A name, you're always first in everything in life. So
True,
you
true.
can be last. That's funny. Um, so what were we talking about just before we started recording?
Captivate.
Yeah, the
Galaxy
Captivate.
We were talking about our first
We're
phone. We
yeah, we're
had.
talking about our first Android phones, or the ones that we like the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back in the day. The oldies but goodies.
And Chris made a discovery about Ashley's first Android phone, or was that your first phone, or the one you had when you started?
It wasn't my first smartphone. My first smartphone was a Samsung Blackjack. That was a Windows mobile device. But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
my first Android device was a Samsung Captivate, which was the AT&T Galaxy S variant.
Wasn't the Blackjack? Wasn't that the Didn't it have a little keyboard on it? It was like a BlackBerry kind of.
Yeah, it was a BlackBerry knockoff back when Samsung was like, "Oh, we got to copy BlackBerry because
Yeah.
they're doing great."
Everything everyone was doing, yeah. Samsung was like, "Oh, let's do our version," and then eventually they caught on with the iPhone.
Was the Blackjack that really? Oh no, I just Googled it. Wasn't there like a Samsung phone that was really long and narrow,
Um.
and it like flipped?
Oh no, that wasn't. I don't think that was a Samsung. I think that was like LG. It was called like the.
I know what you're talking about, but
It
I don't
was like a
remember the
stick.
name of
It
it.
was like a stick of gum. It was
Yeah,
so
You
yeah,
could, you
yeah.
could
small.
flip it open to a full keyboard.
Yeah. Well, then there's that one too, and then I think there was like HTC version. I don't. What were those other phones? There was some weird, like the Shadow on T-Mobile.
Yeah, there were some weird phones.
That one was cool.
But anyway, Chris, you were looking at the Captivate, and you made a mind-blowing discovery
Yeah, well,
that
like when Ashley mentioned it, I was thinking about the Captivate and about like how awesome that phone was. Like that was one of the like out of all the Galaxy S variants, that one was the coolest looking. I remember thinking like, man, it's such a beautiful, really cool looking phone. And then just off the top of my head, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm looking at my Galaxy S6 right now, and I'm like, the phone is the exact same like body style or shape as the Galaxy S6 Edge. It's like identical. It's insane. It's just flipped upside down because the screen's on the I guess what would be the back of the S6 Edge because they didn't have curved displays back then. But it's nuts. It's nuts. They just like rehashed that design almost. Like it's kind of cool in a way.
yeah.
Thought it was really 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 weird. But
The only thing is like that Captivate was a little bit more curved on the top and bottom too.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
at it and it like had a kind of a little whoop, little.
But yeah, when you look at that back view, it's like that looks just like the front of the Edge. It's pretty funny.
It's crazy. That big silver bezel on the back looks like the bezels on the S6 Edge. Like it's crazy.
So
Spitting image of each other.
speaking of funny phone stories and whatnot, Chris, you have one.
Chris, you always have a funny phone story.
That
I
is
don't know.
true.
I don't know how this stuff happens to me, but okay. I mean, like I haven't damaged a phone. I don't think I've ever had a phone damaged in water ever. I'm thinking about it, but and then like cracked. Like I don't really drop phones or any of that stuff. The only phone I ever really broke was like the Nexus 4, and that was only the back because the back was like the thinnest sheet of glass on the world.
Saran wrap.
And that thing was horrible. It would just break on its own. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I was kind of upset about this. But the Droid Turbo, as you guys know, is like really excited about. It's my go-to phone. It's my daily driver. Battery life is so insane on it. I, I've been using the S6 for a while, you guys know. So like, I was kind of like spoiled by the speed of the S6. So I was like, I should probably try to pep up the speed of this Droid Turbs a little bit. So I
Is
decided
that what you
to.
call it? The Droid Turb?
Yeah, the Droid Turbs. And then
Turbs.
I went into the developer settings and I was trying to. Well, I mean, I did. I changed the runtime from Dalvik to Art because that kind of makes things a little snappier. And it's
Hmm.
part of Lollipop, but I don't have Lollipop yet on this phone, so we're still waiting for that. Hoping that it would kind of speed things up. So during the process, it takes forever for your phone to boot up because it has to, I guess, upgrade. It says Android is upgrading, and it has to like upgrade all those or convert all those apps
Yeah.
to the new runtime and all that stuff. So the phone was getting so unbelievably hot. Like it was, and I figured it was like, shoot, like your average person probably only has like upgrading 60 apps or upgrading 70 or something, but I had 300 because
Oh my god.
I have so many.
Are you serious? 300 apps?
I mean, it's like I think a lot of those are system apps and stuff, you know. It's just
No,
not-
there cannot be 300 system apps.
there's other things
Chris
on
does
there.
have a lot of apps. Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, crap, I'm gonna be the death of this phone. So I was like, I should probably cool this sucker down a little bit. And you know, as I'm going to get some dino nuggets to prepare my lunch for the day, I was like, oh, the freezer's nice and cool. I'll just set it like in here while I'm like preparing these nuggets. And you know, I closed the little freezer, set it in there, whatever, make my nuggets, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna forget about it because I have to put the nuggets back, and then I'll see the phone in there. But for some reason, you know, I'm thinking about other things, people are talking to me, and I'm just throw the nuggets back in there, totally forget about it. So at the end of my shift, I'm like, where's my phone at, man? I don't know where the heck, and I thought I left it somewhere else. And it was kind of a hectic day. Like me and my girlfriend here are property managers of this building, so I had to accept applications from these two strippers. Don't put that on. And
What did she just say?
don't put that online. So like things were just crazy, and I'm like trying to like give them an application, and there's all this stuff going on, and I thought maybe like I left it in the office, or one of the strippers stole it, or so I don't even know. It was a wild day, and I couldn't remember where the heck I put it. So I figured I left it in the office or in the car or something. I was gonna go check in the morning for it, and then I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I still can't find it. I tried doing like the whole Android device manager to locate it. Couldn't find it, and that's because after it reaches a certain temperature, the whole thing just shuts down. So the phone was completely shut down. So I
It wasn't
finally
converting apps.
I retraced my steps, and I forget how. I think I was looking at another phone, and it was doing something, and I was like, oh, I hate when Android's upgrading, and I was like, wait a minute. And I just remembered, like, bing, little light bulb went off, and I ran to the freezer, opened it, and my phone's there, like a solid block of ice, just completely frozen.
How much time had passed?
It's almost a full day. I mean, it was like overnight, so
Wow.
that was from like that afternoon to the morning the next day. So it was frozen. It was 100% like frozen solid, like through and through. But so I thought it was dead. I was like, crap, there goes this awesome phone. I'm gonna have to use another phone now. But yeah, so, and I guess the problem is that if that ever happens to you, I guess it's actually a pretty common problem because we were talking with people, or when I posted this on Fandroid, I wrote a little article about it. Apparently a lot of people have done this. Like, oh yeah, I used to put my phone in the freezer, let it cool down a little bit while I'm doing this or that, or...
Yeah, I've done that before too.
See, everybody does it, so yeah, I felt really stupid about it, but then after reading that, I'm like, oh, okay, but yeah, just never again. I mean, maybe the fridge, I might leave it in the fridge one day, but not... I'll never go freezer. That's a little too extreme and ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, so as soon as I pulled it out, that was like the bad thing to do because the moisture from like outside after you take it out, like it's getting all frosty everywhere, and I'm like, oh shoot, ice building up around it, and camera lens and everything is getting like all fogged up, and I was like, this is bad. So I immediately just got a bowl of rice and just shoved it in there and left it in there for like a good couple days over the entire weekend actually, and it's working. It's back in action.
Good job, rice.
Rice is amazing, and yet they say like the biggest mistake you can make if you drop your phone in water or put it in a freezer overnight, like Chris, is trying to turn it on immediately.
On. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you gotta just let it dry out.
Let me try it out. I wonder if it still works. Like, no, let it. Don't even bother until it's been dry for a good while. But yeah, I was still like paranoid about it. Like I was even when powering it on. That was like 2 days of in rice, and I was just like, it looks dry. And I popped off the back, and I like left it in there with that on there, and I mean, but yeah, it worked. I mean, I thought maybe the camera would fail once I try to fire up the camera, which is like a problem sometimes. But the camera's working perfect. I mean, everything's great. No.
So basically, you had a pretty close call.
Yeah, probably the closest call I think I've ever had. That would have really sucked. I mean, I have a lot of Android phones here, but like DROID Turbo is.
I think that's like the understatement of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris has a lot of phones.
The worst part is that I was going to go visit Edgar actually in San Diego, and I didn't have my DROID Turbo. I had to take a stupid S6 with me, and that thing dies in like 6 hours. And we had to cross the border. We went to TJ, and I'm like, man, I hope I don't die. Like if I had the Turbo, I would have no worry in the world because I know it would take me through, the next day, and the day after that. But yeah.
Did you make it?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long your phone lasts?
I mean, I just basically had to shut it down when I was over there and just turn it off completely, and then just turn it on if there was an emergency or something. But, yeah, pretty crazy. That's my wild weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I told the story when I dropped my Nexus 6 in the toilet like a couple months ago and put it in the rice, and that was all fine too.
That's
a
great.
clean
I mean,
toilet. I will once again emphasize there was nothing in the toilet.
It's so gross.
But yeah, I used to put my we were just talking about old phones. My Droid Aris would get really hot sometimes, and that was a phone that I used to put in the freezer. But I haven't done that with a phone in a long time.
Let things cool down a little bit. Just pop it in the freezer.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, not a good idea.
All right.
Not a good idea.
Good story. I like when we have a good story like that on the podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, as you guys know, we have Android phone rankings on Fandroid that we release periodically when new phones come out. And we updated our guide this week because we've reviewed the LG G4. It's still not available to buy, but we reviewed it already, so we added it to the guide. And so I'm just going to run down our top 5 Android phones as of May 2015, and we'll see if you guys agree or disagree. Number 5 is the Nexus 6. Staying on our
that
list.
thing hasn't fallen off yet, really?
It was 4 last time, so it's slowly making its way down the list. Number 4 is the HTC One M9, which is a drop all the way from second place.
Yeah, I think that was totally warranted.
Yeah. Number 3 is the LG G4, and then
Really?
number 2 is the S6 Edge, and number 1 is the S6. And last time we did these rankings, the Edge was in number 3, and the M9 was number 2. But I think as these phones have been out for a while now, kind of realizing that M9 is not really that good.
Yeah, the more I use the M9, the more I realize like this phone is really sucky.
So Ashley, I heard you had some displeasure with the placement of the G3.
I mean,
or G4, sorry.
I can't say anything really, I guess, because I haven't used the phone yet. But I've been looking at some of the camera comparisons between the Galaxy S6 and the G4, and I'm finding that the G4 seems to be able to capture more light.
Yeah. I think if you go purely on camera, you can easily swap the S6 and G4 for 1 and 2 and whatever. They're almost tied. But I think it's the other things that put the S6 and the
Yeah,
Edge.
the processor in the Samsung is definitely more powerful.
Yeah, and I have the G4 now because Kevin had it and now he's gone, so I have it now, and I got it yesterday, so I haven't had a ton of time to play with it, but there are some weird software things on this phone. Like sometimes the display, well, I guess I don't know if it's a software issue or a display issue. Sometimes the display is not super responsive. Like I have to tap.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's happened very few times, but enough times that I've noticed it.
Yeah, and it's hard.
And that's
it's hard
something
to,
like, just full disclaimer here before I say anything else. This is not a final G4 that we have. This is the Korean version, and LG has like even reached out and told us that this is not the final version. So that's totally something that can be fixed before it's officially available. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I don't. That was
That's
actually the
kind
problem
of
with the YotaPhone. The YotaPhone 2. It was like it was hard because I'm like, is it not like that like registering my taps or what? And it would only be when I was like typing. I'm typing fast and like and I'm like constantly messing up stuff all the time. And I'm like, is it not? Like it's hard because then I try to like test it out, but then it works fine. But then it's just when you're just doing random things, it just happens sometimes. And it was the most frustrating thing about that phone.
Yeah, but it's a really nice phone. I like it. Other than that, so we'll see.
That's actually that's such a huge issue for me, like sensitivity, screen sensitivity.
I would not freak out about that right yet because, like I said, this is not the final version. So
yeah.
But speaking of the G4, we might as well just move to our G4 topic. There's still not an official release date, but I guess we're hearing June 2nd could be.
Yeah, T-Mobile sent out a tweet and then quickly deleted it about a G4 contest or something that they're running, and they're like, oh, you can get your hands on it June 2nd, and then it was gone.
Yeah, it's weird. I wonder why they can't just commit to a date already. Like it's odd. I mean, they took the phone on tour, and I'm sure the first thing people are asking is like, hey, so when can I get this phone? Like you're showing me the phone.
Well,
like,
it just seems really strange to me that they had an announcement and everything without a release date or even a price. Like, you want people to buy your product, right?
That's like such it's like such an Android OEM 2010 or earlier thing to do. Like I remember it used to be so bad. There would be all these events and no release dates ever, but lately they've been a lot better at it, and now LG does this.
It's weird. I mean, I feel like the whole Galaxy S6 thing kind of, I don't know, LG was just kind of rushing to just keep up, I guess. Like, oh, let's just announce it, let's show it off, let's do this, let's do that, and they don't even know. Like, they have to wait for it to get approved by carrier test. It's probably still under carrier testing and all this stuff. So
carriers always bog down everything.
So true.
They slow down. There's
I wouldn't even be surprised if it was just Verizon bogging down everyone else, because they probably want to be able to announce all the carriers at the same time. So they're probably just sitting there waiting on old slowpoke Big Red.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Wait, that's what you're gonna do. It's a good phone.
I'm curious. I just want to see how big it is. I want to see if it's like really too much bigger than the S6 or.
Yeah,
Here, I'll give you a quick comparison.
Same size as the G3.
I'll give you a quick comparison. Here it is next to the Nexus 6.
Oh!
It looks. You know what? That's really weird. Actually, I just am seeing how much similar it is to the Nexus 6 in size, but I would not have guessed that at all because it doesn't feel anywhere near that big.
Is it more narrow?
Yeah, it's a lot narrower. Here you go, Nexus 5 comparison.
Oh, for the love of God.
It's not that far off.
It looks pretty big.
It does look big, but I seriously have not, since I've had it, thought that it
doesn't it have the same screen size as the G3?
Pretty sure it does. I mean, the bezels are pretty small. Look at that on the side.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
The G3 bezels were super small too.
I don't know, man. That looks weird. It's kind of big.
It's really not, but I do have big hands, so hard to say. Speaking of phones coming out, the YotaPhone 2, which we were just talking about, is available in the U.S. now via Indiegogo.
Yeah, you can. I guess it's kind of like more like a pre-order thing than it is like they actually need funding, right? I mean.
Yeah, I forgot to check on Indiegogo. How much does it even cost to fund it? Do you know?
I can't remember the price exactly. It was $5 something.
I got it pulled up. $525.
Yeah, $5 something.
That's not terrible for a full price phone, but it is the YotaPhone, so.
I mean, I think Asus is kind of screwing things up for people now too. Top-notch specs inside of like this super low price tag, but I mean, the YotaPhone was cool. I mean, I think they could have really gotten that if they would have like done this maybe 5 months ago, 4 months ago.
There was a lot of buzz after, what was it, CES when they had it?
Yeah, see, I mean, like the phone was already coming out. I think they showed it off and stuff and announced it and everything. It was like months before that, but CES is when we finally got to like play around with it here in the U.S. But
And then you had it for a short while.
I had it for like maybe like a weekend over the weekend, and then the guys were like asking for it back, and I was just, you know what? Forget it, man. Take your stupid phone back.
They have a white model too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, they announced that they dropped the price over in Europe, and then I think it's like by $100 or something, and then they also launched a new white model, which the white model looks freaking awesome. I think that
It does look pretty cool, yeah.
Badass for sure. But even then, I'm just not. I don't know. I feel like I'm not completely sold on the phone. I think it's a good phone. If they had it like subsidized on a carrier, I think it would be like a good option compared to all those others. But it's just kind of weird and quirky.
I'd still like to try it out. I've never actually had one in my hand before. I'd like to give it a shot.
I mean, the what do you call that? The e-ink back thing was just really clunky and hard to use. I mean, there's such a delay when you do things, so it's like it throws you off.
But I mean, it's always going to be that way because of the way the e-ink technology works, because it has to redraw the whole screen anytime you do something.
Yeah, and it's just, I think like it wasn't so much even that, like the refresh rate and all that stuff that really bothered me, because it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was actually, me and Edgar were playing around with it, and we're trying to just use it with just the e-ink only, because you can mirror just like the regular side on the e-ink. So we're just trying to like open Twitter, do all this stuff, and it was kind of weird. But it's just more or less the software that they have for like the specific software that they use for like the widgets on the back and all this stuff. It's just not very like intuitive, and even now I can't remember how to do certain functions on it. It was like so difficult and weird to use. I think they need to like overhaul that and just
I think that's
scratch.
a barrier to entry to a lot of people who might be interested in a display that can it can give you a lot of extra battery life, but if it's confusing to work, people are going to use it.
Confused. I mean, I can't even. I was thinking, like, man, how is like a regular soccer mom or someone going to figure out how to use it? There's no
somebody that isn't into tech, they're just like, oh, here's this phone. Oh, it has an e-ink display.
Well, like for one, there's no way a regular soccer mom's even gonna hear about that phone.
originally it was rumored, the guys, the CEO dude and all that, and the guys, the U.S. team or whatever, they were talking about how they were going to put it on T-Mobile's Underground. That whole little thing that they got going on, T-Mobile has, where they have like certain phones that they wouldn't really normally put like in their stores, but they still want to offer on their network. So they're saying they're in talks with that. So I thought from their point of view, whatever they're saying, that it was going to be launching on T-Mobile, but I guess that didn't ever really happen.
Yeah.
I think
I wonder.
Everyone else just saw the same thing. Probably it was like, this phone's just too weird and strange to use.
Too niche, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's any better now, though. Like if they fixed any of the software issues or anything.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Because the one you had wasn't like, was that a final?
Yeah, it was like it was after a couple of updates that they had in Europe and all that, or Russia and stuff. So like when you first powered it on, there was like a couple of updates and they fixed it, and it has like the change log. I'm like, oh, we fixed this, we fixed that, da da da. So I mean, it was pretty mature software. But they just came out with Lollipop, or they have Lollipop coming around the corner. So I'm kind of curious to see how that like changes.
Oh my
things
gosh! What if the YotaPhone gets Lollipop before the DROID Turbo?
Oh man. It's so sad.
That's hilarious.
It's terrible. It's fun. There's a Reddit for the DROID Turbo, and anytime any phone gets Lollipop, they post it.
It's just full of angry people. Like, look who got it before we did.
Every single time, yeah. It's like, and especially if it's a crappy like old phone, they're like, and the da got Lollipop before the DROID. It's all like everyone is doing that whole.
And the Alcatel Pixie Touch whatever 2.5
got Lollipop before the DROID Turbo. Everyone's just complaining.
That's funny.
Ridiculous. Some guy's like, I'm going back to my iPhone 5. And he was so upset, and I'm like, what? Like even with KitKat, the Turbo's way better than an iPhone 5. What the heck's wrong with you? But that's just how upset people are. Like, don't you keep things? Don't keep things from me.
So, Chris, you were talking about Asus disrupting things with the low-end phones with great specs. So why don't you talk about the ZenFone 2?
The ZenFone 2. The weirdest thing about the ZenFone 2 is that there was like a ZenFone 5 and like a Zen.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It's the most annoying thing.
But actually, though, I think
I thought I was
they
losing my
spell
mind.
differently, aren't they? Like the ZenFone 5 and stuff are actually Zen and then PH phone, and this one
Are
is
they?
Zen
That's so
F
ridiculous. I
phone.
mean, Asus, like they're a cool company and they do some cool stuff with like laptops and like, but it's just some of the stuff is just so weird. Like it's just so Taiwanese, just so foreign. But
Nope,
yes,
I was wrong, by the way. Those aren't spelled differently. They're all spelled the same.
Yeah, it's just so weird. Let's bring it back down. That's odd.
Does
But yeah.
one? Does the ZenFone 2 still slip into the back of their tablet or whatever?
No.
Okay.
Man,
That was cool.
Yeah.
that was a cool idea, honestly. I wish it would have taken off, but it just couldn't. I heard like there were so many bugs with it from like actual owners and stuff. It's like I don't know. They could have like nailed that down. That would have been awesome. But yeah, so the ZenFone 2 got announced again, but this time they're announcing availability here in the U.S. So they're gonna have like this U.S. model. Well, it's already out now, but it's $200. It's got like an Intel Atom processor. Well, there's like a low-end version which has like just regular specs or mid-range-ish specs, and then they have like their high-end version, which is only $300. Intel quad-core processor, 2.3 gigahertz or something ridiculous.
Wow.
And 4 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, this thing is like
4 gigabytes of RAM?
it's an Android nerd's like wet dream.
Android
honestly.
fanboys line up now.
Like without
Holy
thinking
cow.
about anything else, if you tell an Android fanboy like, dude, this phone's got 4 gigs, they just like all over, like they can't even help themselves. Like and there's so many other factors, so many other variables. I mean, we know this because like we're reviewing phones all the time. It's like just specs do not make it the phone.
Here's the thing: they will be super excited about that, but none of them will actually buy.
Yeah, and that too. Like, oh, this is my next phone, and then they're gonna keep using their Samsung Captivate or something. But
Please leave us a message if you're still using a Samsung Captivate.
yeah, but I really do feel like the Asus Zen, this is going to be the sleeper. This is like the sleeper hit of 2015. Like I think a lot of people are going to be buying this because it's such a low price. Like
Yeah.
even if you don't want the $300 one, you can get the mid-range one for $200, and the $200 one is way better spec-wise than like a Moto G or I'm trying to think what else is 200 that's like full price. Like I don't even know.
The ZenFone 2, they're already available in other countries.
Yeah, they've been available for a little while in like other countries, and people have been using them, and people like them. They say the camera's really good. It's not as good as Asus makes it out to be. Definitely not on par with like the S6 or even the G4 or anything, but it's.
I mean, you don't want to compete with those anyway. Like I would say, is it better than the Moto G? Because the Moto G doesn't have a good camera.
It doesn't really need to be better than those phones. That's the thing, because the price is a fraction. It's like a third of a S6 Edge. Like it's insane.
It sounds like they're trying to compete with those blue phones that they sell on Amazon that are like super cheap.
I mean, they're competing with everyone. I mean, just unlocked price $300 is crazy. Like that's especially.
There are a lot of phones that are coming out in that market right now.
If they had a Nexus for $300, which I don't think we'll ever see again. I mean, it's possible, but maybe Huawei could do something because they can make those phones really on the cheap. But I mean, that's such a good price range. Like people, Android fanboys especially, you give them top-notch specs, and then you just $300, they'll just buy it, like insta-buy, without even thinking twice. They might never see an update.
Yeah.
Camera might suck. They might have all these bugs and forced closes, but you know, they got 4 gigabytes of RAM now that they can do nothing with, and then start using task killers to kill all the apps in the background.
Wow. Chris's war on fanboys.
Right?
Well, it's just frustrating.
That's like a full-fledged rant right there.
Calling them out.
It's just it really bothers me because the spec thing, but
yeah.
Again.
Well, that was like, I don't know if I've even mentioned it on the podcast. There was that Chris Chavez bloopers video that I put on the Fandroid YouTube account.
Oh gosh.
When you're demoing that app on the S6 that kills apps.
Yeah, that was
your commentary while using it was hilarious. Yeah, let's kill Google Play services.
It's like they include an application to kill like services that are running in the background, and these are like things that your phone needs to function, and it's like, oh yeah, let's kill them, and it's dumb because you kill them and then they come right back. It's like
Yeah.
they even come back worse sometimes. Like I've killed all the background apps, and then all of a sudden you just watch as that percentage jumps like even higher than it was before because all these apps reopen and stuff in the background. And it's just like, why do you even like Samsung knows their phones, they know their software, they know what like this.
They
doesn't
also
do
know
anything.
that people like to kill apps, so
It's placebo, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just dumb.
this podcast keeps going back to old phones, but I remember when you actually had to use task killers on Android way back in the day,
Yeah.
and those times are long gone.
There were some phones that just really couldn't. They would max out the RAM and this and that. Like it just wasn't.
Well, I mean,
even then-
phones had like no RAM back then, you know.
I mean, even then, like it would just close. The apps close on them by themselves. I mean, you don't really have to worry about it. I mean, I would do on the G1. There was like the RAM hack, and it would give you like 15 megabytes of extra RAM, and that used to blow my mind because I'm like, sweet. Like I would have at least 2 extra apps open in the background, and I'm like, yeah, now I can multitask like a demon. But that's crazy. That's a long time ago.
How much RAM did the G1 even have?
I think it wasn't even 256. I think it was like 192 or something.
Yeah.
Something really really low because I know the MyTouch 3G. One of the newer MyTouch 3Gs came out and it had like 256 megabytes of RAM, and I was like, just drooling over that.
I just looked up the Droid Aris. That had 512 megabytes of RAM. Or no, 288 megabytes of RAM. My bad.
Oh yeah. I was like, this doesn't sound right at all. 512 is insane.
528 megahertz processor.
Megahertz.
That was only a few years ago, too. Jesus.
This was not that long ago. That's
All
crazy.
right. So we've talked about the YotaPhone. We've talked about the ZenFone. Talked about the G4. Let's talk about Spotify. You guys see their announcements today?
I did not. I didn't know that they had an announcement, but I didn't
Yeah, they had an event, and just kind of a boring event. I don't even know why it was an event. Could have just been an app update, but they have this new feature. It like syncs music to your running.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and then they also are doing videos and podcasts now, so that's kind of cool.
So they're basically trying to be an iTunes replacement.
Yeah, I guess so. Which I mean, it's not a horrible thing to try to do.
True.
I know a lot of people hate iTunes.
I hate iTunes. I haven't even opened it once on my Mac, but that's cool. I mean, that's not bad. Well, what kind of video, like movies and stuff, and TV shows? Like they're doing the full.
I didn't read into it that much. I just thought it was probably music videos, but I guess you could be right. Did you guys see, who was it? Nicki Minaj released a video just on Tidal.
Just?
Yeah,
oh,
Tidal.
no, I didn't.
And everyone was all mad because, like, no one has Tidal.
Is that the one where she's making fun of Tyga because he's dating Kylie?
No, it was Nicki Minaj and Beyonce.
Oh, that's the one. I keep seeing people post pictures of that, and I'm like,
Yeah, and you've probably never seen anyone post a video because no one has Tidal.
That's ridiculous.
That's funny.
It's really sad.
All right, and then last but not least, on our quick hits, LG has returned to Windows Phone. The LG Lancet for Verizon. And I'm trying to remember what was the actual last LG Windows Phone.
Was there an LG Windows Phone?
I think it might be the one that was announced like with Windows Phone 7.
I spent 2 years covering Windows Phone with you, and I don't remember an LG Windows Phone.
Oh, there was one.
There is an LG Firefox phone. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one. It was see-through. It was see-through like the old Game Boys, yeah.
LG created a handset for the original Windows Phone 7 back in 2010. Yep. So this is their first Windows Phone in 5 years, and it's just a like really low end. It actually, you know what's weird? It looks identical to the Nexus 5, and it has Windows Phone.
Maybe they're using all those old Nexus 5 shells to build a
The
Windows
camera is
phone.
in a slightly different spot, but other than that, it looks identical. Kind of funny.
I miss my Nexus 5. I mean, I still have it, but I just miss.
Maybe there will be a new Nexus 5 this year.
It'll be a Nexus like 5.5 is what they'll end up doing.
Well,
Something
that's what I'm
ridiculous.
hoping for this G4 is like I want to put stock Android on it as soon as I can, and then it will be like an updated
You
Nexus
know what
5.
really grinds my gears? You know what really sucks?
What?
That no one like the Google Play edition stuff. All that went down the drain because
Yeah.
there's so many phones out there that I would like. I'd be more inclined to buy if I at least knew I could flash like a Google Play edition ROM, like an official Google Play edition ROM to them. But like the ZenFone, the ZenFone 2. If they had a Google Play edition of that, oh shoot, I'd be all over that, like white on rice.
I don't think I've ever used an Asus Android product. Is there a really heavy skin on their stuff or
The ZenFone has like it's weird. I mean, it's like a mishmash of like the TouchWiz and I don't know. It's not pretty. Their launcher's all weirded out and just it's terrible. But I mean,
Yeah.
you can switch out the launchers and you can do all that stuff, so it's not too big a deal. But I think they have a theme engine too, so maybe they'll have like a Nexus theme or something. That'd be kind
I
of
wish
cool.
LG had a theme engine. Everybody else does it now.
I'm actually really surprised they didn't, because it really, yeah, everyone does. I wouldn't be surprised if LG introduces that like in a later update for Android M or something.
Android milkshake, right? Right.
Marshmallow.
No.
Marzipan?
Marzipan.
We're all on separate nicknames. That's good because then we're guaranteed most of us will be wrong. Team milkshake. Hashtag Android milkshake.
I will put money on this right now. It's Marshmallow.
That would be a pretty good. Like I can see the marshmallow mascot for the front lawn.
So
in my
easy.
head. It
So
would be pretty easy to do, but so would milkshake. I mean, they did Froyo. Milkshake would be pretty.
It's got to be more solid though. Milkshake's a little too.
Well, I mean, their jelly bean statue is just a cup with jelly beans in it.
That is
Why
true.
couldn't the milkshake statue be a cup with milkshake in it?
just a big cup.
McDonald's triple thick shake cup.
Little antenna sticking out of it. It looks like
Just go grab a McCafe and be like, here, throw it on the Google one.
what's that guy's name? Like
McCafe. I don't think I've ever heard anyone pronounce it like that.
McCafe.
It's McCafe.
Sandisk. Samsung.
It's McCafe, not McCafe.
McCafe, yeah. Ashley.
Is that southern?
It is. It's the southern accent.
The
Yep.
McCafe.
Go get a sweet tea from the McCafe.
Oh, love those sweet teas.
Ugh. Not a fan of sweet tea.
It's going to be the death of me. I love this.
Joe, we're mortal enemies. Sweet tea is my...
Well, I'll say this. I'm not a fan of McDonald's sweet tea.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Can you make sweet tea at home? Is it
Yes.
easy?
Do you have tea and sugar? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's only 2 ingredients, and you boil water and make it.
Is there like
Seriously.
honey or something they put in there, or some kind of
No.
I mean, I'm sure you could if you
herbs
wanted
and
to.
spices?
Agave nectar.
Oh, agave's good.
Yeah.
I'll use that.
All right, let's go into our wins and fails. And I guess since Kevin's gone, I'm leading this off now.
Yeah, looks like it.
I feel weird. So my win is
Don't be
completely not related to anything tech. But Mad Men ended this week, and I'm a big Mad Men fan. I enjoyed the finale. I loved the show through all the seasons, seen every one, and probably is going to go down as one of my all-time favorite shows.
Did you feel like it wrapped up the series well?
I did. I thought I did a really good job. It left all the characters in a good place. And it's really like the thing I was thinking about while I was watching it. It's the last show, at least right now, that I make an effort to watch live every week. Like I've always had very few shows that I actually watch live every week, and now Mad Men's over, and so it's like, what do I even watch on
I
TV?
started out really strong with Mad Men during seasons 1 and 2, but then I got tired of Don's repeated romances. I was just like, oh my god.
Can't
I
even
stopped
call
watching.
them romances. They're just like
yeah, they're basically
flings.
flings.
Yeah.
I got sick of it, so I stopped watching.
Yeah, it's a good show, so it's over, and I'm sad. So my fail of the week is LG G4 related, and like I mentioned, the version that we have is from Korea. It's not for the U.S. And one of the weird things about this is it has a Korea clock. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. A Korea clock, and a United States clock on the lock screen, and it is literally impossible to remove the Korea clock from the lock screen.
That can't be right.
It's LG has said this himself. Like, I tried everything, and then I eventually like started searching on Twitter to see if anyone else was having the same issue, and LG replied to someone else who had the issue that I was having and said, yeah, you can't remove it from there's supposed to be settings in the lock screen settings to change it, but they said that the software on the Korean version does not have those settings. So there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
So basically, if you buy the Korean version, you always know what time it is in Korea.
Right.
Yeah.
But no one's going to buy the Korean version here because it is going to be in the U.S., but it's just kind of a weird phone reviewer problem.
Phone review problems.
But something I noticed while I was having this problem is one thing that I think the thing that annoys me the most about OEM skins is the lock screen. Because you can change the launcher and you can, like, settings and stuff. It looks a little different, not a big deal, but I just really like the lock screen on stock Android, and I'm always annoyed when I can't have that.
Yeah.
I always change the lock screen.
Yeah,
I
there's
hate lock screen apps. I
replacements.
hate lock screen.
Really?
Because they always take a second to show up.
Yeah.
Or
They're
like you click,
not as
you'll
snappy.
power it on, and then you'll see like the stock one, and then a second later the replacement shows up, and it's like I just can't deal with that.
I haven't used them in a long time, so I don't know if there's any like improvements just like to the Android OS where they make that like, because before there was like a system thing where like they can't have anything displayed like for like 3 seconds after you turn off the display. Something weird, but I don't know. Maybe they fix that now. I mean, you should try.
I did try a
looking
couple.
into it.
I tried a lollipop one. And
I mean, I use AC display on my G3, and yeah, it shows the default lock screen when I first boot up the phone. But if I double tap on it, like immediately after I double tap, it still shows AC display. Like I don't ever see the
What
G3
what I always do is I turn off, like you go to your lock screen and you turn that off, so it's not even on swipe. There's nothing. You just go to none, and then you use a lock screen app, and this way it's
that's a good idea right there.
So now you're not having two lock screens trying to like mess around with each other or activate at the same time.
But then do you have it where it shows your home screen for a second and then all of a sudden the lock screen?
No, it doesn't. It's quick. Like I mean, yeah. Once I did that, it's like it's way better now. But I don't know. You should try it. See.
My other pet peeve with lock screens is where you have to choose a different wallpaper than your home screen lock screen.
Oh yeah.
Your home screen wallpaper. That's just a tiny little thing, but it bugs me. I want them to be transparent. So those are my lock screen pet peeves. Chris, what do you got?
My win is going to be Google Photos. We're closer than we were before to it launching. It's really close, but it's still a ways off because now they're I guess Bloomberg or someone, they posted a report saying that it's going to possibly debut at Google I/O. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the new info they have. So they're just saying that it's like pretty much ready. It's gonna happen, and it's probably gonna be debuted at Google I/O, which is kind of cool.
Now this, you're talking about it's gonna be like a backup app not tied to Google Plus. Is that what you're talking about?
So Google Photos, yeah, like right now you have that little Photos app, which is basically a shortcut to that photo section of Google Plus. So it's all tied into Google Plus and all that stuff. So it's like you want to share your photos, you're gonna have to like do it through Google Plus and all that stuff. It's really annoying and dumb. But Google Photos is gonna be just basically like an Android thing, an Android photo backup utility. All the cool stuff from the Google Plus photos, like Auto Awesome, that's all gonna be ported over. But now it's just going to be completely separate from Google Plus. So you can even share these photos that are backed up. You can share them easily to Facebook, share them easily to Twitter. I mean, it's awesome. I don't know why it's taken them so long to do this, but I mean, I guess they're really trying to push Google Plus before.
They were for a while, yeah.
Had these blinders on, and they're like, we don't care about what the users want or the user experience. We gotta push Google Plus. But now
that Vic Gundrota. His name was.
Gundocha. But yeah, that's finally done with. So with Google Photos, it's going to be awesome because I tell people all the time like, oh, you should just factory reset your phone. And like, what about all my photos? And I'm like, well, you can back them up to Google Plus, but it's like really hard. Like, I don't use Google Plus. I'm like, well, then you're gonna have to start using it. It's weird. And even then, it's like you got to jump into the settings.
I had that conversation with my roommate last night. He has a G2, and it's starting to act up. And he was
Factory reset that.
Yeah, I was like, factory reset it. And he's like, I don't want to lose all my stuff. And I was like, well, you can. Google backs up your photos if you use Google Plus. And he's like, what's that? And I was like, oh, Jesus.
What's Google Plus?
See, that should just all be
OneDrive, man. OneDrive for life.
Like, we shouldn't have to worry about that stuff anymore. We shouldn't have to ever worry about, oh, what if my photos didn't back up or something? Like if you lose your phone, you left it in the freezer and it's dead now. You shouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff. But right now, you kind of have to with the whole stupid Google Plus thing. But yeah, so Google I/O, hopefully. That'd be really awesome. My fail of the week is going to be Android 5.1 or Android Wear 5.1.1. Is starting to roll out again.
Before you get into that, I just want to say, has Android Wear ever been a win?
I think it has.
It's a good question. I don't know if we've ever actually.
I liked my Moto 360 a lot when I first got it. I probably had that as a win at one point.
You liked? What do you mean you liked? Where is it now?
Exactly. I was actually just having this conversation yesterday with someone not tech related, and they were asking me about smartwatches and if they should get one, and I was just like, well, I have two at home and neither one of them are on my wrist right now, so that might tell you something.
I feel weird not wearing. I'm not wearing mine right now, but I usually do. I don't know. I feel weird not wearing it.
It's the battery thing, man. I just cannot remember to keep it charged.
Oh, but I have a little. I have the little dock, so like every night before I go to bed, I just put it in a little dock, let it charge up, wake up in the morning.
It's still too bulky for me. I have small wrists, and all the ones that I've played around with have been huge.
Yeah, they're just now starting. I feel like some of the newer smartwatches are coming out in two sizes, which is good because people have very different wrist sizes.
I love it. I love my Moto 3. Like, there's so many times I don't like. I'm not actively thinking about it when I'm wearing it, like how much I love it. But like every now and then, I'm like doing something with my hands, and then I get a notification. I'm like, I don't want to pull up my phone again. I'm like, oh, it's right there on my wrist. Let's see. Oh, it's just so and so.
I think I said it. I think actually one of my other smartwatch wins was probably the Pebble.
Yeah, the Pebble.
I like the Pebble Steel.
Many times.
Yeah, I like the Pebble Steel more than the Moto 360, to be honest.
Yeah. So my fail. Going back to my fail.
No, we're not going to let you talk about your fail.
It's just that the Android Wear 5.1.1, it's like when Android Wear rollouts normally happen back when, last year, whatever, they hit all of the watches at the same time. But like this one's being weird, and it's only like it debuted on the Urbane, and then it finally rolled out like a couple weeks later to the Zen Watch, the Asus Zen Watch, and then now like the Moto 360 is still waiting for it. I think it finally hit the LG's versions, maybe Samsung's, but I don't think anyone actually bought the Samsung one.
I don't know, though. You said that they used to all come out at the same time. Like, I don't think I've ever had an update on my Moto 360 right away. I've always had to wait.
Oh, no. But they hit, like, generally, like, the rollout was, like, a staged rollout, but it hit everyone around the same time. But this one just seems like it's weird. It's just hitting, like, specific ones, and then they're waiting, hitting another one, waiting, and it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating. So I'm still sitting here at the Moto 3. And the Moto 360 was always at the top of the list, mind you. It was always, like, LG G Watch and like the Moto 360. Or Moto 360 got updates faster than some of them, I think. Was always like the first one, but now I'm sitting here waiting like an animal.
I'd like to see a breakdown of what is the most popular Android Wear watch. I have to assume it's the Moto 360.
I would assume that too.
They had numbers. They someone, what was it, one of those research firms or something, they said it was like 720,000 or something Android Wear devices were sold last year, which wasn't that many, but then out of those, it was like the majority of them were Moto 360s.
Yeah.
Very, very few that were anything else. Moto 360 was a clear winner, just because it's got that roundness.
Got that roundness.
Yeah, so that's
all right. Ashley, what do you got?
My win for the week is that The Witcher 3 is finally available to play. Joe, I know you're not much of a gamer, but Chris, do you know anything about The Witcher 3?
I've just watched a lot of trailers. I could have sworn this game came out years ago.
No, it was it was supposed to debut last year in
Oh,
December,
okay.
and then they delayed it.
I was like, what is happening with this game?
I
The
watched
best way-
Conan play it.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I love Conan's Let's Plays.
Uh-huh. The best way that I can describe it is basically the world of Game of Thrones. It's a very similar world in a setting like Grand Theft Auto. An
Ooh,
open world, do anything setting like that. So it's pretty engrossing, and I've been really thrilled with what I've played so far.
that sounds freaking awesome. Is it?
It
It's out?
is.
It's out?
Yeah, it's out. It's out.
Man.
You're playing it on PC, I assume.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's been on my radar. I mean, I'm always like behind on games because I don't know, just got the PS4 again, so like I'm playing Far Cry 4 and all those. But
If you just got your PS4, you should try Bloodborne.
yeah, I was literally about to buy that yesterday from some guy off Craigslist, but he sold it. I was like, I'll wait for another cheap version to come
I
out.
played Bloodborne.
Did you? Did you
Yeah.
like it?
It was alright. I mean, it's
It's-
super hard.
Yeah, it's an action RPG, and a lot of
That's the
people
beauty
that
of it.
are like familiar with action RPGs think you can just button mash, but you can't do that with Bloodborne.
Yeah, I'm a button masher.
Hmm
I don't like. I like to think about it, and I like to think that if I make one wrong move, this guy's gonna destroy me, and that's
Yeah,
exactly
that
how it is.
happens. It's frustrating too, but
love
there's
It's
Yeah.
sweating, like you go up against just like, oh shoot, there's two guys, and you're like shaking because you're like, oh, I gotta get out, it's freaking out, and then you're dead.
it reminds me of the classic platformers like Mega Man and Super Ghouls and Ghosts,
Yeah.
where you had to memorize enemy patterns to get through the levels.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's old school.
Do you have a fail of the week, Ashley?
I don't. I was sitting here trying to think, like, what has upset me? What has made me angry?
OnePlus. What
You're
are they doing? What are they doing?
OnePlus. That's our go-to if you need
Have
a
we-
fail. Like, what is
Have
one?
we checked up on them?
I mean, I've never been pleased with OnePlus, so that's
Yeah.
just a permanent fail.
Pretty sure we've never been pleased with them either.
Yeah, it's always gonna be OnePlus and Sprint. So that's it.
Yeah.
You just-
You're a rookie, so you know you're not good at finding those fails yet. It'll come to you. Don't worry.
What you're saying is I'll become increasingly more jaded.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's happened to the rest of us, I think. Yeah, it's so easy in a world with OnePlus and Sprint. So, all right, our app picks of the week. My app pick is an app from Microsoft called Hyperlapse, which is available on Android and Windows Phone.
So awesome.
And this is the app that Instagram apparently can't bring to Android. It's an app that lets you do time-lapse videos, but it's not like time-lapse videos that you have to like mount your phone in a tripod and keep absolutely steady for a long amount of time to make it look good. These are time-lapse videos that you can, move your camera around, run around, do whatever you want, and it's all put together real smooth, and they just look really awesome. And Instagram released an app called Hyperlapse last year, I believe, for iOS, which does the same thing. And they said that there was something with Android. What was it, Chris, where they couldn't bring it because of something in Android?
They just don't have the necessary APIs for it. and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, so.
But apparently you can do it on Android because Microsoft released the app called Hyperlapse, and I've used it on my phone, and it works great. So I'm not sure what the deal with Instagram is, but download Microsoft Hyperlapse. Works just as good.
So awesome. Can we just give a shout out to Microsoft and how awesome they're being with like all these cool Android apps? Like they're doing a freaking
Yeah, they
great
brought
job.
an entire Office suite to Android too. It's really awesome.
Yeah, man, they're on it. Like it's like they really are becoming a really good alternative to like if you don't want to use a lot of Google stuff.
They are becoming what Google was supposed to be, I feel like. I remember writing about this on WinSource all the time. I mean, Google's supposed to be this open source, awesome,
Hmm
loving company, whatever, and Microsoft is like releasing all these apps for everyone, and Google is like, no, Windows Phone, you can't have YouTube, the most basic app that every OS on the planet has, but nope, you can't have it.
Yeah, they really
I think
had
I have a
it out
calculator that has a YouTube app on it.
That's
No.
pretty funny. Yeah.
Terrible,
Can you bring
terrible.
that into exam? Sorry, you have YouTube on.
Oh, I know. TI-82.
Yeah. Chris, what's your app pick?
I don't have it right here, but I guess I'll go with there's a bunch of apps I'm always installing. I'll go with Notafidgets.
Notafidgets.
I just like that title is like the best, the name for it. But basically what it is when Lollipop came out, they got rid of the widgets on the lock screen, which a lot of people were really upset about. So there's an application called Notafidgets that basically lets you put widgets in your notifications area. And because if they're in there, that means they're also on the lock screen, because the lock screen just mirrors those. So it's kind of like a weird, interesting workaround to getting widgets back on your lock screen. I'm not a widget on my lock screen guy. I actually hated them to begin
Yeah, I
with.
was going to say, I don't know that I would want widgets in my notification area.
Yeah, to me it was really annoying and horrible. But I mean, I guess there's like probably some that would be useful, maybe like a little calendar one or something. But yeah, it's interesting. I just not really on like some devices. Like if you have like a stock Android device, you have nothing in your notification area. But if you have like Samsung, you got like all the toggles, you got S Finder, you got Quick Connect, you got all these different brightness slider, and then you basically only have like half a screen for notifications.
It's so true. Like on the G4, when you swipe down, it automatically opens all those toggles, like you said. Whereas on stock Android, you swipe twice to see the toggles. That bugs me that you have to see them every time.
It looks so weird when I like use my DROID Turbo and I swipe down. And I'm like, wow, it's like a whole thing of just notification. Like it's so empty. It feels weird. So not used to it, but yeah. So if you're looking for widgets in your lock screen or your notification drawer, I guess it's Notafidgets.
Nice. Ashley?
I have another game, and I have a feeling that I will have lots of games, because I like games.
Mm-hmm.
This is Knights of Pen and Paper 2. It is...
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, it's a sequel to Knights of Pen and Paper, which was basically a D&D simulator. Like, if you like playing D&D style games, but you don't have a group of friends, or you can't find the time to do it, you can do it in this app.
Yeah,
and
cool game.
It simulates various D&D adventures. I think there's like 2 in Knights and Pen and Paper 2, but it's a really fun time waster.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's like 16-bit or something like that, like old school graphics, and it looks fun. I mean, I never played those like in real life, but like this is like you're playing. I don't know how to explain it, but you're playing like those cardboard game things with these characters who are in that world. So it's like I don't know, it's weird, but it's fun, and the graphics are fun, and like the dialogue and all that stuff. It's a lighthearted game. It's a good one.
Yep.
I have a feeling I'm going to be downloading a lot of new apps with Ashley making his recommendation.
Yeah.
Which is good because I'm always trying to find games for my phone.
I have too many. I mean, I don't think I really even played Nights. I think I played for like 5 minutes the original, but like I always just download games and I never end up playing them.
It has a lot of pop culture references and stuff in it too. It's just really lighthearted and fun.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right, we got another email question this week from our good friend Daquan Johnson. This is 3 weeks in a row now that he's left us an email. If you wanna leave us emails, you can do that with podcast@mobileroar.com. But this week, Daquan says, do we really need a Samsung Galaxy Active line? Why can't Samsung just make a case called the Active instead of making a whole new phone?
That's actually a really, really good point.
It is actually.
It's a stupid good point.
Because like I think we were complaining about how the Active gets slower updates and stuff because it's a whole separate phone. They could avoid that problem.
Yeah, just make a case, the Galaxy S6 Active case.
Just make like an OtterBox.
Or just sell it as a combo. Like, here's your Galaxy S6, and if you are the type of person that needs a heavy OtterBox case, we have this.
They can have it like seal. Oh man, I'm just thinking about it. Like, that would be really cool.
Nice job, Daquan.
Yeah, Samsung should hire you.
Send us more emails with good suggestions like that.
Right, but then again, maybe they want to they don't want to compromise on the thickness and all that stuff too. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. It is thinner than if you put an OtterBox on it.
And for some crazy reason, I mean that's what these OEMs care about is shrinking these phones down to nothing, at all costs. But
literally at all costs. Battery life on your S6 is pretty bad.
So ridiculous. You know what I was thinking about my S6 just right now is why isn't the regular S6 just a flipped around version of the S6 Edge? Huh? What? So it would be like the Captivate. So the flat side would be just a regular S6, and then the back would just be where your battery is, or the front, whatever. Just flip it around, and then it would be. Then you could have two exact same, they would be the exact same physical things, just different displays.
Why stop there? Put display on the front and the back.
Why can't you have double displays?
And then if you want to use the Edge, you just flip it around. If you don't want to use the Edge, you just flip it around the other.
Throw an e-ink display on the back, and boom, you got.
People would love it.
Save that battery life.
Sam, the soda phone too.
People would buy it off Indiegogo, I bet, or something like that. Maybe.
Joe, you need to Photoshop this, and we got to post this. This is a great idea.
It's too far away from April. We could have just did it on April Fools. That would have been good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap things up. What phone is Chris using? Resurrected Droid Turbo and S6 still?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. I just
Which
found my.
one are you using more?
Z2. I've been trying to use this a little bit now, the Xperia Z2, because I found it in my backpack.
The Z2?
I forgot I had it. It's the same thing as the Z3. I don't know why people give it so much crap. It's the exact same phone, but
that's true.
That's what they said about the M19 too.
Oh,
burn!
Man. I need a rim shot. Where is that at? Oh, jeez.
Ouch! That was pretty good.
Ouch.
All right, so as I mentioned, you can email us with our address podcast@mobileroar.com. You can subscribe to the audio version of the podcast on Stitcher Radio and iTunes. You can follow the show on Twitter @MobileRoarCast, all one word. And you can follow us on Twitter. Chris is @GamerCore, Ashley is @OverlordRoar, and I am @TallSchmo. And we will be back next week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, again with more mobile news. See you guys.
Over.